Hi, everybody. Um, we don't really have a topic for today because I mean, obviously, the main story of the day is yesterday's meeting at the Oval Office, so I can start with that. But I want I want to talk about other things mainly. But let's talk about this just for a second because obviously it's a major distraction. It's just play. It's people are being divided once again by drama and strategic editing. And we have the left being siding with Zelensky and the right siding with Trump when they watch the full video, but some people are flipping sides simply because they're seeing only an excerpt. So what am I talking about? Well, if you missed it, which is hard to miss, um, Zelensky met with Trump and Vance yesterday. I think it was yesterday, if not the day before. And they were talking about trying to come to an agreement, a peace agreement, by settling the mineral rights for the USA to take mineral rights from Ukraine, which would put Americans on Ukraine soil and also provide some interest back to Americans who had funded this war for $350 billion. So there was a meeting there to settle this agreement, and then Zelensky pushed it into the negotiation, and that set about having this drama on camera for the media to see, which people are polarized about. People are polarized about this are because you have obviously, like, it starts with the Trump haters. They're going to call him a bully and they're going to think that they ambushed him. That's the main narrative that's being played on the left. And then you've got people on the right who go into accurate detail as to what actually happened during the whole span of that 50-minute meeting. And they show that Zelensky actually perpetrated the argument. And it has caused major upset, not just between Zelensky and Trump and Vance, but also between left and right. And now Europeans are apparently siding with Ukraine and not a fan of what Trump is doing. Look, this is all hearsay. I don't know the details on this because it's so convoluted right now. There's so much um basically they're just opinions that it's hard to tell whether this is actual fact or not. But most of Europe seems to be anti-Trump because that's the information they're being fed. So a lot of this media is controlled by the left, controlled by, this propaganda machine that wants us to believe a certain narrative. And the way this meeting was conducted was apparently pretty tame and friendly up until about the last 10 minutes. And the last 10 minutes is when things get heated, and without like going into detail of every single thing that happened in that meeting, because we could be here forever picking it apart. And a lot of people have done a very good job of doing that. But from what I saw, and I would love to hear your opinion, but from what I saw, um, if you're here, say hi and let me know you're here. We're talking about the Oval Office meeting with Trump um, and Zelensky and Vance. So what I saw was they were trying to come to some sort of agreement. Then Vance started talking, and Zelensky asked Vance, and again, this is like from memory play, not a play by play, but Zelensky asked Vance if he had ever been to the Ukraine. And obviously, the answer was no. He had seen footage of um, videos that were shot showing what was going on in the Ukraine. Now, here's where I interject, because if you are awake and you're paying attention to the nonsense that's going on over there, you will know that it is a play, or as the media like to call it, a tragedy. And so I find it very hard to believe that people are buying into this story, and yet they are. It's like all you have to do is to see a picture of these unexploded bombs sitting in people's kitchens with a perfectly cut hole in the ceiling to realize what we're dealing with here. Um, but anyhow, they want to continue this tragedy, and they were talking about how Zelensky is bringing in troops, bringing in soldiers, and I don't know, mistreating them or something. I didn't actually understand what Vance was the point he was trying to make. And then Zelensky starts to threaten America with this vague threat about the beaches, which I didn't quite understand either. And it was like, what exactly is going on here? What are we seeing? Because it feels like these people are putting on a performance, putting on a play, and a lot of people, normies, are seeing that they are putting on a play. And that's great because that's progress. So we have we have escalating tensions here, because now Zelensky has not only said he's put forward a threat to America, which is stupid. Then he also blames America for doing nothing when Russia was threatening to go to war with Ukraine in 2014, which is not, first of all, America's problem. And it's also not Trump's problem because he wasn't in office in 2014. So, what is he talking about? Why is he going back to 2014 and then saying, well, this is your fault because you didn't do anything when Russia was sitting on our borders threatening to start a war? Okay, so we got like a threat and an accusation of blame at the president's doorstep from Zelensky, who's siphoned $350 billion, and on top of that, military resources from America, sitting in the Oval Office in front of the president in a tracksuit, which is disrespectful to the president. And, if you go to a foreign country and you meet foreign dignitaries, you dress appropriately. In America, you wear a suit. It's showing a sign of respect for the leader of the country, and showing up in a tracksuit is a sign of disrespect. Anyway, they're both actors, so whatever. So like he shows up, makes a threat, doesn't thank. So Vance points out, you haven't thanked Trump for all of the assistance that he's giving you in trying to save your country. You're sitting here being disrespectful to not only the president but also to the country of America, which is accurate. He is. But also the fact that he has to point that out. He has to say, this is what you are doing, which is fine. I mean, that's the point of a debate. That's the point of an argument. It's like you have to point out what the other person is doing in order to reflect it back to them, to say, are you aware that this is what you're doing, which is a stupid move? So then Trump intervenes and he starts to put Zelensky in his place, which he should do, because Trump is setting a boundary in his own home, the White House, the Oval Office. I'm the president in this country. You came here asking me for help, and now you have offended me and my country. I'm setting a boundary. You don't do that. Here's the situation. You don't hold the cards. And he wasn't talking like he was forceful and direct, but I don't think that he was overly aggressive. Now the problem is that Zelensky starts talking over Trump, interrupting, which is also rude and offensive. And so the clip, if you're watching just that part, you're going to see Trump talking at the same time as Zelensky. Zelensky has deliberately downplayed his voice, and Trump is more boisterous because, first of all, they're Americans, but you would think that Zelensky, being Ukrainian, Russian, he's like, that's a very aggressive kind of culture too. But he's deliberately downplaying how he delivers the message, but the message and the tone is hostile. And this is what people are not noticing. They're not noticing that he is deliberately manipulating the conversation to make it appear like he's the victim. He's not a victim. He's siphoned $350 billion, and that's just from America. All the other countries he's siphoned billions of dollars from. And where did it go for this staged war, this fake war? So, where's the money going? Is there even any money? It's probably all just a story. But people have contributed money. People like you and me have put money towards this war at grocery stores, hung the flag on our social media to show support for Ukraine because you buy into the latest social justice warrior situation, don't you? And so you want to feel part of the community. You want to support the underdogs. Russia's the bad guy. So you have to be on the right team. So you picked your team, you gave them money. So where did that money go? So it's not just a matter of the country sending your tax dollars to that country and it going nowhere, but it's also a matter of you and your donations going to that country to support this film, movie, production, theater. So you have this grand performance, and Zelensky's deliberately downplaying how he delivers the message, but the message is antagonistic, it's hostile. And Trump picks up on it. You think Trump doesn't know a hostile message when he hears one? And this is the trouble with dynamics like this. And I've seen it so many times on Love is Blind. The people who are portrayed as bullies are often just setting boundaries and stating that you can't get away with this because they're pointing out hidden passive aggressive antagonistic behavior. And a lot of people miss it because they pay more attention to the tone and the delivery than they do to the message and the intention behind it. And a lot of we have the Brian Laundrie, Gabby Petito story, which I decoded when it happened. It's on my second channel. The details with that, when the cops found her upset and the police blamed her as being hysterical and being dramatic, but you would be too if you had been abused. So here's the situation. The cops see the drama and they see the hysteria, and then they see the calm guy and they think he's not the problem. They think she's the problem when she's actually reacting to the abuse. And somebody who is calm, reserved, and composed can be insidious. And this has happened multiple times on Love is Blind. One, I'm not going to talk about it too much because I know some people don't like it, but there's one such situation in Love is Blind a couple of seasons ago when Chelsea was reacting hysterically to the subtle, covert abuse of Jimmy. And everybody reacted to her reaction as abuse, but it was actually Jimmy who was abusing her. and she was reacting to it, which made her look crazy because what he was doing was crazy making. And the more subtle it is, the more insidious it is, the harder it is for people to detect, including the victim. And the victim is reacting to something because it triggers their nervous system, and they're not really sure what they're reacting to because it's so hidden. But they can pick up on things and then they bring it to the forefront, but that person will lie and deny. And then you get confused, and then you get even more crazy because you're just like, what the I don't understand why you're lying to me because that's not what I saw. That's not what I'm seeing. And you're telling me that that's not true. So this is what is termed gaslighting. So here we are in a situation where we got Zelensky manipulating the conversation, manipulating the media, the audience. And apparently this is why, I mean, this is hearsay, but he started the conversation about the negotiations in front of the camera, in front of the media, deliberately to appeal to the public. So now there's people who have watched this who are looking at Trump sideways because they're like, well, do you really need to talk to people this way? So you can take it both ways. You can see it as, okay, Trump and Vance lost their cool and got hot-headed. I think that they have the potential to be hot-headed when necessary, but I also think that they were actually quite cool-headed considering the threats that Zelensky was making. But he was also over talking Trump, which made it look worse than it was. And Trump and Vance being Americans, they're very loud people. So it also comes across that way. Now, you can also see it as that they were not letting him talk, not letting Zelensky talk, talking over him. But it was actually Trump was trying to make a point and Zelensky kept interrupting. So Trump was trying to shut him up to get his point across, which is why he said, "You've said enough. Like, let me talk. I'm trying to make my point." So this is some of the things that I saw. Comment. Hello, Ninja Rabbit. Ukraine will be a future modern epicenter. Potentially. I think that that's probably what they're doing is they're probably just bombing the hell out of it to make it into something, just like these other um, cities that are burning to the ground. Like they're just clearing away certain architecture so they can build over it. But I'm not suggesting that it was deliberate or man-made, but they know that this is happening, so they just allow it to happen. I mean, I don't think there's much you can do about this type of fire anyway, but it's a similar sort of thing where they clear the people out of the area, bomb it, clear it out, it burns, clear it out so they can rebuild. But that's got to happen anyway. You know, we're going through an energetic changeover, so the change is going to happen. It's just you may not like how it happens, and it's going to be dramatic and it's going to look ugly, and people are going to think that it's hostile, and people are going to get hurt, people are going to get losing property in the process, but this has to happen. It's part of the story. So you know um if you can try to see it from that perspective, it releases you from that frustration and that anger. Nat, yay, Saved by the Bell. I was about to delete some family members off Facebook supporting Zelensky for. Yeah, it's like, um, my. I, this is what's happening with a lot of the reactions for everything. It's like when you isolate things and you don't see the full picture, you don't get the full context, then you are manipulated. Your perception is manipulated. I don't understand why people don't want to get the full picture, don't want to understand the context of what's really going on before they make a decision. I think a lot of people just sort of take some short snippets and they form an opinion, or their opinion is manipulated by the person presenting the information to them, so they make the decision for them and they just take it and run because they can't be bothered to do the research. So, hey, if you're here, say hi and give this video a thumbs up. Really appreciate it. And if you're not a subscriber, subscribe and you can join in the conversation. Really appreciate that. Um, Ninja Rabbit, I know it's all staged, but I think the actors actually believe their part are competitive. It's attention based, in my opinion. I agree. I do think that they believe their part, just like you and I believe our parts. It is staged, but I don't think, even though you can be aware that you are in a play, I'm aware that I'm in a play, I still go about my daily life as I normally would, as me, as this part that I'm playing, doing the things that I'm doing, not aware of the things that are coming out of my mouth are playing into the play. That's true for everybody. So it's real and it's not real. It's staged and it's real. Like, there's a real element to it. And you can still do the play being fully aware that you are in a play, right? So Donald Trump is a man who is a business professional playing the role of a president, but he is also a god, and he knows it. And he is here to do a job. He is here to deliver a message. He is here to change things. And he is aware of it. I'm convinced he's aware of it. But that doesn't mean that he has to tell people. That doesn't mean that he has to change how he behaves. He's behaving as Donald Trump because that's the character he's playing. This is the character I'm playing. You are playing a character just as much. You're just not, you're either aware of it or you're not aware of it, right? So, yeah, I think that they're participating in it, they're playing it. It's natural, it's normal, it's real-ish, but there's like when you have a higher perception and you understand what's really going on, you see the fakery part, right? Come on, we got 5 likes, we can do better than that. um, so accurate, it's reactive abuse. Oh, sorry, missed one. DJ Harm Dejarm. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. I don't think Trump wants the war to end. I think the war is hurting Russia, so it benefits the US. I can't really comment on that perspective because I don't know where you're coming from in terms of your research or knowledge on that, but I don't agree. I don't think that he wants a war. He has declared that he's a peace president, that he's not a war president. I don't think he wants war. I don't think that he's actually out to hurt Russia. I just think that he is more of a business person who wants America to thrive. And I don't think that it has anything to do with Russia. I'm not saying that he wants to be allies with Russia or friends with Russia, but if it serves America to be allies with Russia, damn straight he's going to be an ally with Russia. He would be an ally with China, and he hates China if it served America. If you were in a situation, because America was an ally of Russia in World War II, because Russia was an enemy of Germany. So it served them to be an ally of someone they viewed to be an enemy temporarily in the purpose of winning the war against a mutual enemy. And that's just strategy. That's just, smart, smart move. So, so accurate, it's reactive abuse. Yeah, it is. It's reactive abuse. Coco, you're gambling with World War III. Yes, he said that, and I agree. I think the fact is that Trump was trying to blatantly point out the severity of the situation. And Zelensky is sitting there like a whiny little baby. Like, you the background of this is that he's come to America. America is still a world superpower, especially in military terms. And they're teetering on the brink of extinction, but Trump is doing something to bring it back. But this is like going to the Godfather to say, "Hey, I'm in a bit of a pickle here. Can you help me out?" And then you turn around and you attack him. That's not exactly going to help you, and it's not going to help your people. So, like, why would you do that? Why would you put yourself in that position? And yeah, the severity of the situation with World War III. Now, I don't understand all the finer details because I really don't pay attention to this sort of stuff very closely. However, if this continues the way things are going, from what I understand, this involves NATO and situations with Russia and Europe and, all sorts of political stuff I don't know. I don't know the details. I just am peripherally aware of this. And if this keeps going, it's going to lead to major issues and World War III. And potentially, I did hear something about Zelensky going to China. That could just be somebody making that up. I don't have verification on that, but that's a possibility. He could go to China. And then if Zelensky forms an alliance with China because he wants them to combat the United States, then we're in a big problem. But even then, you know, it's still just a story. King Bag's hillbilly elegy. I don't know what you mean by that. Nah, Zelensky folding his arms was so immature, and the fact that he never wears a suit, he always wears pajamas. Yeah. I don't know if you caught earlier that I was saying that anybody coming to the White House in America not wearing a suit, not dressing up, not being presentable in an, business attire is insulting the president of the United States. It's an insult. And that's why Trump made a big deal out of it, because people, you communicate with how you present yourself. You communicate with what you wear, you communicate with how you behave, your attitude, how you interact with people. And Zelensky coming to the father asking for help dressed like a bum is not showing respect to the White House, to America, or to the president. Look, I'm not American, I'm Canadian, but this is how things are done in the Western world. You go to a business meeting, you dress up and you look presentable. You don't come wearing a tracksuit. And even if you went to, say, um, the Middle East and you met with kings over there, you're not going to meet them wearing a tracksuit. You have to dress up appropriately. This is like going on a date with a guy who shows up wearing Birkenstocks and a pair of cutoffs. It's like, well, where are you going to take me? McDonald's, because basically dressed the way you are, we're not going anywhere I want to go. You show up to want to take me out. I'm all dressed up. You should show up equally presentable. That's the situation we're dealing here. Like, this is a show of respect right from the get-go. And people are harping on Trump's reaction to what he was wearing as if Trump was the problem. No, Zelensky showed up with the offense first. He showed up disrespectful from the get-go. I mean, these are subtle signs of antagonism, and people are not picking up on it. People are not listening or looking. They're just reacting to the emotional, the the colors instead of the content. Coco, I hate suits. The tie on a suit represents slave mortality. Anyone in a suit without a tie is the one who calls the shots. A tie is meant to be tied to your job. Eh, if you want to see it that way. I like suits. They look nice. They're sharp. I think men look handsome in suits. And doesn't mean you have to wear a suit all the time. But if you're going to meet the president, you wear a damn suit. Period. If you're going to meet the king, you wear what's appropriate to meet the king. Could you imagine showing up to meet King Charles wearing a tracksuit? I mean, you can dislike it all you like in your own personal area, your own personal arena. You don't have to wear one. But if you're going to the office and you have a job that commands that you wear a suit, you got to wear a suit or you're going to get fired. So he's the president of a country. Put on a damn suit. Ninja Rabbit, system change and it has to create a storyline. I can see that. Good. I'm glad you could see that. Joyful to be here. Hello. The movie is never more clear than with Trump. Anyone would know how to dress down would be a show of disrespect at the White House. Absolutely. Ninja Rabbit or poor trapped observer inside. Stephen Snow, hello. Most people are in polar consciousness. I thought Donald Trump was great dealing with that fascist criminal. Thank you. Yeah. Like I'm not coming at this from like I'm a Trump supporter no matter what. I don't even consider myself as a Trump supporter. I consider myself as a, you know, realist paying attention to the details. And I like what I see with Trump. I like how he handled Zelensky. He put him in his place. He set a boundary. He said, "You're not going to talk to me like this. You come in here, you're all disrespectful. You're insulting the American people." He's putting him in his place. He's like, "You don't have the cards right now. You're coming to me begging for money and support, begging for help to save your country. And this is how you talk to me? I don't think so." I appreciate how he talked to him. I appreciate how he handled it. Yes, I can see why people would think that it was inappropriate, but if somebody's getting out of hand and is being offensive and you have the ability to call them out on it in the moment at the time without really losing your cool, which I don't think that he did, he was just being forceful and he was being direct and he was having to combat Zelensky over talking him. I think he handled it well. If I was the thing is, like, we're talking about world leaders here trying to prevent World War III. I have more faith in someone like Donald Trump, who is like, look, this is the point of our meeting. You're getting off track. We came here to resolve this issue. This is not resolving the issue. Let's deal with the issue at hand. And if you can't do that, you're not here to talk about peace, get out and come back when you're ready. I have more faith in a man who does that because he's keeping his word. He's holding to the point. He's acting out of integrity. Zelensky is not. Zelensky is a weasel. He's trying to manipulate things, trying to manipulate optics, trying to present himself as a victim and paint the Americans as bullies. And some people have bought into it and other people have not. It's like you got to pay attention to all of the details. You can't just go off of impression. Coco, did you see the new Severance episode? It was really revealing, especially the part with the Christmas Day, everyday part. Yes, I did see Severance. We're watching Severance every week and we're discussing it in the Discord with members. And we had an excellent discussion on that episode. It was very revealing and there was a lot in it, but this is off topic at the moment. But yes, I did watch it. Ninja, China is falling apart too. Is it? I don't know much about it. Do you know enough to share some more information? Joy-filled to be here. Zelensky is believing he is actually the character people have cast him as. Yeah, he is. Zelensky is a little bit like, I don't know. He's slimy. He's slimy, and I saw this one woman talk about him like he's greasy. She used the word greasy. Yeah, he's greasy, he's slimy. He is a manipulator, he's a victim. Like you want to see victim mentality, that's victim mentality. Yeah, this is really showing it's an excellent reflection to the people of what is going on in our world right now, and how people react to this is a gauge on how clearly they see, which is true of everything. But this is really bringing up a lot of issues in terms of victim mentality, bullying, abuse, manipulations, narcissists, covert tactics, passive aggressive negotiations, signs of respect, covert signs of disrespect, all of this. It's really revealing a lot of that. And if you're not able to see it, then you're not going to be seeing clearly. Dathramar, hello. Did you see Chrystia Freeland threatened a nuclear alliance with Europe against the US? I vaguely recall seeing something like that. I'm not really concerned because nuclear stuff don't exist, but Chrystia Freeland is an idiot, and I don't see her getting into power, so I'm not really all that concerned. But if there's some details that I've missed where it has nothing to do with her getting into office, like, didn't she resign? So she's not in politics right now. She has no power. She's no authority. But like apparently, um, all the Canadian politicians are against Trump, which is stupid to me. Like they're just obtuse about what's going on, and which I'm shocked about Polyev not seeing clearly. I don't know about the premiers, but Ford, I think Ford just got reelected. We just had an election and I did not participate in. Um, but like Ford is obtuse, Ford is corrupt, and so all of the politicians that are running for prime minister are corrupt. They all suck. And I saw like Bernier, I think he was the Purple Party leader. He doesn't stand a chance. There's not enough people to support him. I mean, there might be more now, but still, I don't think there's enough to support him. If you know more information, Dathramar, please share it. P, I think his America will feel it in the future statement by Zelenskyy is what made it go left. Well, yeah, because it's a direct threat. It's a threat to America. It's a vague threat, but it's a threat. And it's like, what are you doing? Why are you coming into the Oval Office asking for help and threatening the United States with some kind of attack? Like, what is wrong with you? And he made it vague enough that people would not see it. It was like the people who were supporting Zelenskyy didn't even hear it. They didn't hear it at all. Just saw a video. The person with the highest IQ says they are convinced we were in a simulation. God is a higher being that designed this, he says. Jarm Jarm. What do you mean the person with the highest IQ says? But yeah, like I see this as a sort of consciousness creation built off it's like technology we don't know of yet. That's similar to what you see in Inception, and it's built off of the consciousness of two people. So again, it's like the female creates the space and the masculine populates it, that sort of thing. Ninja Rabbit, China factory falling, disappearing population, riots, exports dropping. Interesting. That could also be propaganda. I don't know. I don't trust anything out of China, but who knows? I appreciate you sharing that because it's interesting to know what's going on over there. Joyful to be here. Did you see the post of the governor's association dinner when the army chorus entered the room singing the finale of Les Mis? No, I didn't. What do you think that's about? What's behind that? Like I said, I'm Canadian. I don't know all of these finer details of American politics. So if you know something, please share. I'd love to hear it. Where are we at here? Okay. P. Zelenskyy was so zooted, surprised. He didn't show up dressed like Winnie the Pooh. Stephen Snow, black fascist PJs, totally disrespectful in any formal meeting. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, like if you're going to work out, then you're dressed appropriately. That's what you wear to work out. Like if he showed up to a date wearing that, door closed, unless we're going jogging. Like, not that I'm interested in dating somebody like him. It's just a joke. Reverend Galileo, hello, listening. I think it's nice to finally start seeing narcissists being called out. You're talking about Zelensky, yeah. Coco, what's weird about Zelensky is there was controversy that he had people get him into office in order to try to get Ukraine to join the EU. Okay, I don't know anything about that. That's interesting. I mean, obviously, he's in office. He's a puppet. He's being manipulated. He's being used to um, launder money, um, orchestrate some sort of drama. Like this is all. He's a he's just a puppet, like a crooked puppet. He's part of it. He's not stupid. He's not like ignorant of what's going on. He knows what's going on, and he knows it in terms of like he knows that people are telling him what to do and want to keep the war going so that the money train can keep coming in that sense. In the broader sense of what's going on, I don't think that he's privy to the bigger story type of thing. Just want to be clear about that. Stephen Snow, Zelensky seemed to me a bit coked up with the over talking, playing the victim totally with his $34 million mansion in Miami's $3 million apartment in London. Yeah, I don't know if he was. Considering he wouldn't shut up and he kept interrupting Trump, which is also rude. Um, as a political diplomat, he should know the politics. He's not new to the game. He hasn't just come into office. He's been a president of his country, I think, for 3 terms now. And he should know how it works. He should know that he has to show up wearing a suit. He should know that you don't overtalk somebody when they're trying to make a point. You talk, you let them talk. That's how conversation works. So he should know all of this. And if he knows all of this, then he's doing it on purpose. So if he's doing it on purpose, he's manipulating the public opinion. Um, and yeah, obviously, these politicians, these crooked politicians who are siphoning money, they all have fancy pads worth multi-millions of dollars that no politician should have, considering didn't he start out as some sort of contestant on some sort of TV show doing silly dances and songs, looking absolutely ridiculous in a humiliation sort of situation? Like, somebody doing that does not have millions of dollars. So, where is he getting the millions of dollars? Reverend Galileo, dressing well is a matter of healthy pride. Totally, absolutely. You present yourself, you don't have to present yourself well to please other people. Obviously, you want to dress appropriately for the occasion or for the setting, but you dress well to please yourself. It's a sign of self-respect as well as respect to others. So, people, I want to talk about this a little bit because in the spiritual community, um, a lot of us think that this sort of issue has um, nothing to do with spirituality. But it does. Like, we're told to not put any value on the 3D. We're told not to put any value on our bodies because we are not the body. Well, we are the body in the physical, in the 3D while we are here, and you have to look after the body because you're in it. And part of looking after the body is showing it self-respect, showing it that you care, taking care of yourself, health-wise, fitness-wise, beauty wise, looking the best you can, and making sure that you function properly and also look presentable and take care of yourself. Have some self respect, have some pride. And, not pride in the sort of biblical sense, but pride in like, yeah, I love myself. I like myself. I like how good I look. I feel great wearing this. It matters. What you wear not only is a reflection of you, but it also gets absorbed into you, right? When you do yourself up and you feel really good about yourself, about how you look, it also makes you feel better. So that affects your frequency, and that's important. So how your frequency is how you experience reality. So if you're investing in yourself physically and taking care of yourself and looking your best for whatever situation you're in, That affects your frequency, that affects the world around you, that affects your experience, that affects your relationships, your dynamics, that affects um, everything in your life. So it's worth putting that energy and attention and even money into your appearance. Don't go crazy if you don't need to. Like, do the best you can with what you have, time. But the idea that we're supposed to not care about what we look like is not understood properly. I think a lot of people take that as an excuse to let themselves go, to gain a ton of weight, to be lazy, to be inactive, to wear sweatpants all the time and not care if they have like holes in them, if they've been worn for three weeks without washing. You don't shower, you don't bathe, you eat junk food, you don't look after yourself. And that's basically communicating that you don't care about yourself. You're trashing yourself literally. And that energy is low vibration energy. That is not showing respect to yourself or to God or to the universe or to being here. So you need to look after yourself. And there's also this like the whole point of the idea of not caring about the 3D or about your physical has to do with detachment, in the sense that you should care about it, you should value it, you should appreciate it, you should be grateful for it, but be detached from it in that you don't need it. You don't need it to feel good. You don't need it to feel give yourself value. You don't need it to pump yourself up. Like, you are filled from inside first, and then the external things are a reflection of that, right? So you can use the 3D things to help you get there, but if you need that 3D thing in order to feel a certain way, then that's developing a codependent relationship with the external thing, just like any other addiction or any other codependent relationship or any other putting the power outside of you. That's what it's supposed to mean. So, yeah, I think that that is highly misunderstood. Coco, how is Zelensky so rich he was a comedian? Yeah, like on a crappy TV show turned politician. How do you become a millionaire? Exactly. Running a performance war and siphoning billions from world leaders, corrupt world leaders. That's how. Coco, are there any politicians that aren't millionaires at this stage? Doesn't seem like it. I mean, at least Trump was I think he's a billionaire and he was one before he started, so he doesn't need the money. And, I have issue with people complaining that America is run by billionaires. Like, he's he's admitted to being a billionaire. He's a self-made billionaire. He is Yes, he started with some money from his family, but he's the one who made it into more. He didn't just um, coast on his laurels, sitting on a pile of cash from an inheritance, doing nothing. He made it into more. He made himself the president. So, like, at least that's the story that's presented to us as Donald Trump, right? So the people who have issue with billionaires running the country, Elon Musk is not getting paid. And politicians should not be paid. It shouldn't be a paid position. So if you have billionaires who have run multiple companies, made billions of dollars, I have issue with Elon Musk and his freaking space program and, the mind chip, because I don't believe any of them are actually real. But Tesla's real. PayPal was real. So, you know there's stuff there that's fine, but the whole let's go to Mars, dude, that Mars is not real, so where do you think you're going? So uh people who have issue with billionaires running America have issue with money. They have a problem with people having money. That's it, period. And they're projecting it onto these people, saying that it's a bad thing, when I think it's a good thing, because, first of all, they know how to run a business, and America is a business. A country is a business. And if you don't think that it's a business, then you don't understand this whole world is structured on business. It may not be pretty and you may not like it, but that's the fact. America is a corporation, it is a business, and it's floundering because its economy is floundering. It runs and survives off an economy. It survives off of how much it is financially worth. And right now it is in debt. It is in debt, a disgusting amount of money. And Trump and Elon are trying to get it out of debt to save the country, literally. And people are criticizing them, saying that they don't want billionaires running the country when they're literally working for free. I mean, honestly, you got to check yourself if this is your mind situation at the moment and you're not really paying attention to what's going on. And then you're like supportive of Biden, who literally siphoned money from the government to fund himself and other people and send your money to Ukraine to fund all these corrupt billionaires who weren't billionaires before. And you're okay with that. Make it make sense. Seriously, make it make sense. Zell is MI6 puppet. Oh yeah, for sure, probably. I don't know if it's MI6, but he's a puppet. Dathramar, I think you summed it up pretty good. All Canadian politicians seem to be preaching about this Canada First campaign, makes them all look like they're the same party. Well, okay, so they hate Trump, but now they're preaching Canada First. Come on. You're literally stealing his campaign. You hate him, but you're copying him. Like, make it make sense. You know, how do people not see what's going on? Coco, the problem I have with politics is that it's so dumb, stupid, and annoying that it's hard to find spiritual meaning behind it. Okay, yeah, but the spiritual meaning behind it is that it's a story showing a reflection back to you in order for you to regain control, because the government is mind control, and they're put in place to control the people because we have no control over ourselves. We have the illusion of control. We have no control of ourselves, so we have a government to control us because we're so caught up in the 3D physical that everything's a mess, and we allowed the external to control us, so we have manifested this control system, this pyramid structure, and that's the spiritual meaning behind it. So this government is it's transparent right now. They're revealing to us the inner workings of this government because the veil is falling. And so the transparency is going to bring down all governments because we won't need them anymore. It might take a little while, but depending on how quickly we wake up to what is going on here, it's going to fall apart because we won't need it anymore. And Trump is putting forward AI, he's putting forward blockchain, cryptocurrency, he's moving forward on that front, and that's going to be adopted worldwide, whether you like it or not. It's for our benefit, and we were convinced that it is not, but if you actually research it, it is. It's for our benefit. It is a better system. It puts the power in the hands of the people, and we don't need government anymore. So, if you like being controlled by government, if you like paying the government, if you like them doing these puppet tactics, then maybe this isn't going to be fun for you. I don't know anybody who really loves government. Do you? But they like the system because they're comfortable with it, because it makes sense to them, because they don't know of anything else. They can't even conceive of any other system. And so if somebody comes along and tells them, oh, we're going to move to a completely different system where we don't have a government, they freak out. Oh, everybody's going to be out of control. We'll have people rioting in the streets and stealing from us. This is where your mind goes. If you don't have somebody setting rules and laws for you, you have no compass. You have no idea how to behave yourself. That's automatically what you think when you think that there's not going to be a government, that there's not going to be a police system, that it's going to be an automatic policing system. So this is like, if you think that you don't have the ability to control yourself, the ability to regulate and know right from wrong, then yeah, you need a government and you are the problem. But a lot of people are like, no, it's not me. It's them. It's those people. It's the people out there. They're the problem. Well, then why do you automatically go to this thought first thing? You know, they can't conceive of another system. They can't conceive of a world without somebody else controlling them and telling them what to do because they can't think for themselves. They can't think of how to function in a world that doesn't have rules, that doesn't tell them what to do. If they didn't have a light at the intersection telling them when it was okay to go, they wouldn't know when to go. They'd be sitting there permanently. Dathramar, I thought Danielle Smith was the only smart Canadian politician. She immediately visited Trump when he was elected and negotiated with him face to face. All the others just kept antagonizing. Danielle Smith, is she, I want to say Alberta. I don't know who she is. Um, Jarm Jarm. I'm pronouncing it different every time. Tell me when I get it right. um, Jung Hoon Kim of Korea has highest record IQ of 276. Is the simulation guy? Oh, okay. It's like I don't know. I don't think you don't need a super high IQ to figure it out, but I do think that people with low IQs, generally speaking, probably won't. 2 days ago, UK aid to Ukraine, 12 billion. Yeah, I know, I heard. And Germany sent money to Ukraine. I think, was it Germany? No, Canada did. We sent money there. Stupid Trudeau. Donald Trump in office, U.S. aid to Ukraine, $0. Cancel electric grid rebuild for Ukraine too. Yeah, see, that's what we need. Like, come on, hey, we got 16 likes. I think we can do better than that. So like this video. If you're participating in the chat, give this video a like. If you're enjoying the view, if you're enjoying the video, give this video a like. Come on, let's get to 20 at least. Zelensky's still trying to sell the war to the public. That's why he dresses like that. Well, yeah, he's playing the victim. Oh, look at poor little old me who has $35 million in a house and 3 million in a condo. Joyful to be here. Invitation to governors to join crusade. The music of a people who are climbing to the light for the wretched of earth. There's a flame that never dies, and the darkest nights will end. The sun will rise, dark to light. Okay, cool. See, basically they're just telling us in plain sight that this is what's going to happen. Watch them run amok, catch them as they fall. Never know your luck when there's a free for all. Here's a little dip. There's a little touch. Most of them are goners, so they won't miss much. Interesting. It's kind of like Love is Blind. Like they play on the nose music when things are happening on the show. So, this is like an on the nose song with what's happening in the show. Jarm Jarm. Remember how Kim Jong Il always dressed? Zelensky may want the same kind of association to a particular style. Yeah, but even then, like I think Kim Jong is or Jong, he wore like a uniform type of thing, which is acceptable in a way, if I remember accurately. Whereas track pants is not a uniform. It like kind of like a Kim was wearing something was more akin to a military uniform type of thing. But yeah, track pants. I mean, you could be right with the strategy of like, this is my go-to look. This is my signature look. But yeah, it's reading loser. That's what it's reading. Joyful to be here. Trump never took a paycheck for president, right? I mean, that says a lot. Business is never personal. They never mention the trillionaires. No, they don't mention the trillionaires. The I am, hey, welcome. Hi, Yolanda. Personally think Musk might be trying to break the firmament, much like Jack Parsons, Werner von Braun Yes, I'm aware of the biblical quote for sure. Yeah, but you can't. You can't break the firmament. It's not possible. But, maybe that is what he's trying to do. They're trying to do something. And speaking of space, did anybody hear that some private company allegedly landed on the moon today? Like, come on. Enough. People still believe this garbage. Like, the images are so fake looking. There's no way people believe this stuff. Uh it looks like it looks pretty similar to the original moon landing. A gold foil wrapped uh stick figure that is floated down onto the surface of the ashy moon, and it looks like really bad animation of like worse, like it's worse than rudimentary CGI animation, and people believe this is real. They will excuse it away as, "Oh my gosh, like, oh, it's just an artist's rendering of what's happening. It's not actual footage." What is it doing there? What is it for? Why would you even show this? How do you even know anything landed on the moon if just because they tell you it did and they're showing you this crappy CGI and yet you believe it? I mean, honestly, people are just dumb. So many people are just dumb, like willfully ignorant and dumb. I remember when I was a teenager watching shows like Nova, and every single time they talked about space, I said, "Why does it look like a cartoon?" And then, like my parents, they recognized that it looked like a cartoon. They acknowledged that it looked like a cartoon, and they just said, "I don't know," and continued watching it. I said, "Well, I can't watch this. It's a cartoon. This is stupid. Like, when are you gonna actually show me some proper space pictures? Why are we watching a program that's based off a cartoon? How do we know that there's actually stuff out there that they're showing us?" Well, we don't, because it's just a cartoon. And and a little while ago, there were people on Twitter that were sharing images from space, allegedly, of Saturn up close, and it looked like a painting. And people even acknowledged, they said, "Oh, it looks like a starry night by Van Gogh." And it's like, do you hear yourself? Do you not know the difference between a painting and a photograph? Can you not tell the difference? I guess not, because they believe that it was real. Well, what's taking the picture? How does it get that close to Saturn? How did you not hear about it? Like, I don't understand. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. I don't know how people buy it. Little segue. But yeah, like, he's probably doing something. Elon's probably doing something, and that's, not NASA's probably doing something too. Oh, what's going on with Coco here? Redacting all his messages. Um, Zelensky's still trying to sell the wars while he's dressing like that. Yeah, victim and joyful. Invitation to the governors to join the crusade, the music of a people who are climbing the light to the light for the wretched of the earth. Didn't I read that already? I did. Um, Daniel Smith, Premier of Alberta. Oh, good. I got it right. Yay, I passed my test. Canadian current events. What's your prediction on what will happen with Ukraine, all the deaths and debt? I think it's just a story. There are no deaths and debt. Like, it's just a story. It's all made up. Joyful to be here. Remember the footage of the SpaceX satellite with a mouse running around? Yes, I do. Do you remember when Elon sent a car into space? Anybody remember that? Like, how quickly we forget. So how come we haven't heard anything about this car? Nothing, nothing further from the car in space. And Elon is still talking about going to Mars. He just let it go. Like, these people that talk about being green, They talk about conserving, they talk about, carbon footprints and all this crap, and not like recycling, not throwing your garbage out, and then they go and throw stuff into space. And they just let it stay there. They don't bring it back, even though Elon has the capability and technology to bring his rockets back down that no other, uh, well, aside from the Challenger, they brought that back down, didn't they? I don't even know how the original moon landing came back because the looks of that thing, like they discarded the rocket, right? So how did it get back up? But if you ask, the Globies, they'll make up a story to make it make sense. So maybe I should ask one of them. I went on a tangent. Okay, good. Thanks for censoring. Stephen Snow with all the missions, no footage approaching the moon, none. Yeah, there's nothing. It's like how, and also the footage that we get is never from the vantage point of the ship going to the moon. It's always the vantage point of something above the moon watching it land. And people still believe this. It's like, where's the camera? Where's the camera? And how did they get the camera there? How are you getting the images live from a camera on the moon? How? But nobody bothers to think, oh, well, that's why it has to be an artist rendering because they're sending back frequency from satellites to show us where it is. People really know how to make stuff up in their heads to make it make sense, right? Vicky, hey, there is no war, only rumors of war. Yeah, exactly. There isn't. There's no war. It's a story. It's made up. I saw some of this footage the other day of these alleged thugs picking people off the street, tossing them into vans. This is in the Ukraine. Tossing them into vans, getting beat up. Who's taking the footage? Who's standing there watching these people, just standing there filming these people while someone's getting kidnapped off the street, thrown into a van, beat up, and abused by Zelensky's thugs? Who? And then they get shared on social media, not just locally, but internationally, so that we can see it. Like, think about the process. How come these people aren't beat up themselves? If you stand there and you film a criminal committing a crime and you're just standing there with your cell phone filming them, don't you think that criminal is inclined to take your camera and smash it or punch you so that you don't say anything or, worse? But apparently there's plenty of people filming these guys all over the Ukraine and leaking this footage and nothing's happening to them. That's like, let's talk about Gene Hackman for a second. We're going off topic, but this is recent. So Gene Hackman died the other day. Suspicious death. And his wife died and his dog died. And so initially people thought it was carbon monoxide poisoning. Apparently, from what I understand, he's been dead for over a week, both of them, or all three of them. How did they not know this going in? They said, oh, the death's not suspicious. And now they're saying it is suspicious because they don't think it was carbon monoxide. So now it is suspicious. And the conspiracy folk are taking this, running wild with it. Oh, he was bumped off because he was aware of who's on the Epstein files. The man was 95. Do you think he's going to mess around with any of that nonsense? He's been retired since 2000 and what? 2 or 4? He doesn't care. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about Hollywood. He doesn't care about any of that. He's retired. He's living happy with his wife and his dog. Does not care. But you care, and so you're making connections where there are none. You're taking this man's name and running it through the mud for your entertainment. So, Gene Hackman, suspicious death. Okay, but we don't know what it is yet. Now, there's somebody on Twitter who is claiming that this video by, I think it came out years ago, and it is Randy Quaid. It is not Gene Hackman. They're insinuating that Randy Quaid is Gene Hackman, and he's talking about how Hollywood's corrupt and all these other people are corrupt. Look, any whistleblower is fake. Edward Snowden, fake. All of these whistleblowers who are famous, who come forward revealing themselves, are fake. How are they fake? They're fake because if they really had serious dirt on someone, they wouldn't be a whistleblower and they wouldn't be alive, because these people all say, my life is in danger. Like, isn't that why Edward Snowden is out of the country? Because his life is literally in danger? Like the whole WikiLeaks thing? It's all nonsense. It's not true. But like, people believe it. People believe these whistleblowers are real. They're not. They're actors. They're revealing information to lead you down the rabbit hole so that you find the truth. And hint, hint, the truth that they're leaking is not the truth. So, like, this stuff is all it's all a story. It's all a performance. And Randy Quaid is not telling you the truth. He's telling you a story. So he's not a whistleblower. He's not revealing the truth. All of these people who claim that their lives are in danger for telling the truth are lying to you. It's not true. So, yeah. And also, conspiracy theorists like to believe that people get bumped off for telling too much truth, or they knew too much. And that's bullshit too. It's all bullshit, because we're all here to wake up. Everybody's here to help you wake up. So they want you to know the truth. They're not going to bump you off for it. So it's all lies. So if anybody says that, they're controlled opposition, or they're just ignorant. They just don't know any better. Essentially, Athena Panthenos, Minerva, is goddess of wisdom and battle strategy. Her animal is the owl. She also has a copy of the Parthenon in America. Parliament is named after a group of owls. Just one connection I noticed when it comes to politics and spirituality. Cool. Also, Lady Liberty or Columbia reminds me of Athena. I do not know who Panthenos is, but her name is literally Athena, which is the goddess of wisdom. So cool. Like all the CNN reporters pretending to be under fire in the Gulf War. Oh yeah, that was fun. Thanks for reminding me. Joyful to be here. Yeah, like that was a stage performance. Oh my gosh, there's a war. Let's go stand in the middle of it while gunfire is all over the place. Look at the fireworks. I mean gunfire behind me. Look at all the bombs everywhere. I mean fire. What are they? Fireworks or bombs? I don't know anymore. But we're in danger. We're standing here in the middle of a war. I mean, in the studio. Where are we? In the studio or in the war? Does it really matter? Okay, whatever. We're in the war. Yeah, it's dangerous. Just like I go stand in a storm on TV. Like, come on. Hey, lots going on in the script? Gene Hackman and his wife. Yes, I was just talking about that. Starseed Awakening. Thank you and welcome. I'm confused about the war not being real. It's just smoke and mirrors, or is it real in the metaphysical sense? No, it's not real at all. There's no war. It's all a stage. It's all an act. It's all play. Starseed Awakening. I was waiting to send that exactly. Gene Hackman. Well, Gene Hackman, I did a breakdown of his performance. Well, he was in the Poseidon Adventure, and I broke down that video and that movie. I did a decode on it. It was a very powerful decode. That movie is a very important movie, and had a very important breakthrough with that. And so you can see that in, I believe it is the devoted membership plan. You can have access to that video. So that's a really powerful decode. Zelensky asks Vance, "How do you know our problems? Have you been there?" Vance pauses before saying he saw the video, almost like he knows that it's not proof. Joyful to be here. Yeah, I mean, the way he answered that question, I've seen stories. Well, like on Instagram, like an Instagram story. Like, yeah, Zelensky, I've been watching your Instagram and you shared a couple of Insta stories and I was following those and I understand that that's real, right? That's real. Coco, I remember, did you hear they released the Epstein file list and blanked out all the names as a joke? I didn't hear that, no. What I did hear was a lot of drama around that. Hey, give this video a like if you're watching, and if you're not subscribed, subscribe to my channel and join the chat. So, what I heard about the Epstein files. Okay, I have a big opinion about these files. So they've been talking and hyping up these files for weeks now, or years even, because Trump campaigned on it, right? He campaigned on these files, said that they were going to release them, not just the Epstein files, but the JFK, RFK assassination files, MLK, as well as 9/11 and COVID. All of that's going to come out. And it all hinged on Kash Patel becoming FBI director. Okay, so we're all like waiting with bated breath while Kash Patel is getting, you know, whatever it is, sworn into office. He gets in, nothing. A few days later, finally, the Epstein files are on Pam's desk being reviewed. Well, what's the problem? I thought you were releasing it. I thought we had transparency. Okay, well, whatever. There might be issues. Okay. But you said it was going to be released the day after Cash gets into office. Didn't happen. So then they say, "Oh, well, it's been on Pam's desk for a week and we've had to review them. And well, there's stuff missing. So the FBI is hiding stuff." And so Cash is apparently on the case to try and find out what these documents are and where they are and how they went missing and who's responsible and holding them accountable and, blah, blah, blah. It's all a big story. Like, Trump is not a first time president. He's been a president before. He knows what the security is like. Granted, I think there were probably issues the first time he was in president. He was still getting his feet wet, still trying to figure out what was going on, and now really understands the corruption that's going on in the Oval Office or in the White House with Biden and what happened with Biden and with him being sued and taken to court and all this sort of stuff. So he may not have understood the level of corruption, according to the story, whatever. But this isn't his first rodeo. He's been president before. He must understand to some extent whether or not he can release these files as quickly as he promised, whether or not announcing that he's going to release these files is detrimental to the files actually being released. Are people going to hold them hostage or destroy them? Is that even a possibility? Is it a possibility that the FBI can destroy these files while he's going around telling everybody, "Oh, I'm going to release them. I'm going to release them"? If that's a possibility, then why would you announce that? Why would you tell everybody that? Why would you campaign on that? So either it's a possibility or it's not. Donald Trump is a strategic negotiator. His whole thing is the art of the deal, right? So he knows what he's doing. I'm not going to say that he's ignorant of what's going on because he's not. He can't be. So there's a reason that this is being played out this way. Okay, so Epstein files come out and all of these influencers, I don't know why they gave them to influencers, but they gave the binders to influencers and they come out of the White House holding them up, parading them around and laughing and smiling. People are offended because, oh, the victims. And listen, it's a stage, it's a show, it's a story. Didn't happen. Like, so they're showing the binders and they're parading them around like it's, some sort of I don't know, candy factory. And there's also issues with who these influencers are, if you get my drift. I'm not going to go there. But The way in which these influencers released the information was also suspicious because some of them released verbatim the same comment on Twitter. So then it was released that, oh, well, we don't have all the files. So there's not any smoking gun in the Epstein files. And it's like, okay, so why are you telling us this now when you've had them on your desk for a week? Why didn't you take that week to get all of the files? Like, I don't understand. We're supposed to have a transparent government. Is it transparent or is it not? So you got the Epstein files that are released, no new information, no smoking gun, no information that's really mind blowing. Here's the thing, like, they have this information, they know who's on the list. Why are there no arrests? Like, is this just all in entertainment? I think it's just entertainment, it's for the masses, it's the bread and circuses, right? So we got this list, it's incomplete, and it's like given to us to sort of satiate us for a little while they twiddle their thumbs and figure out what they're going to do for the other files. So we got all the other cases, JFK, 9/11, et cetera, et cetera. And everybody, this is what I don't understand. Why do people care? Why do they need these files to be released at all anyway? What difference is it going to make to you? Sure, for, people who believe the official story, it'll make a difference. For people who don't, those are the ones who want the files. Those are the ones who are angry about it, and they're like, "You've been lying to us, and we want proof that you've been lying to us." Well, you already have the proof. You did the research yourself. Why do you need them to prove it to you? Again, putting your power outside of yourself and relying on external sources to prove to you what you already know. And then you're waiting on the official story from the government to prove to you that you have discovered that it's all a conspiracy. Do you really think that that's what's going to be in the files? Do you really think that these files are going to tell you the truth? Like, use your head for a second. These files are going to tell you a story, regardless of what you think the truth is. If you think it's a big government cover up, the files are not going to tell you anything that you don't already know, or they're not going to tell you the truth. They're going to be some other story. So, do you really think that 9/11 files are going to include in there that they concluded that it was thermite, that they concluded it was an inside job? Probably not. A lot of a lot of people have access to those files. A lot of people have worked on those files, have put those files together and locked them away for good reason. And then they've given us a story as to what officially happened. And then they did a 9/11 report of what officially happened. Do you really think they're going to tell you the truth? Probably not. So what does it matter? Why do you need these files to what is it going to prove to you? Are you going to go to your friend and say, "Here, see, I told you that it was corrupt"? Most likely the people who believe the official story are going to come to you and say, "Hey, theory, here's the official and thinking that this is what's going on." Either way, it doesn't matter because it's still going to be a lie. So, where are we at? Um Didn't you 2 do a live show in a subway in Ukraine? It's almost like they want to scream, "It's all fake." I don't remember that. That's interesting. Thanks, the IAM. Um, you agree to something, okay? I'm not sure what you agree to, but okay. "This place is a dream. Only sleepers consider it real. The death comes like dawn, and you wake up laughing at what you thought was your grief." Rumi, yeah. Not sure about Pam Bondi. Yeah, she's a little bit weird. Um, as in, like, suspicious. She doesn't seem transparent, put it that way. That's more specific. Gene Hack the Gene Man looks like they got micro-fried. What, did you see their bodies, Stephen Snow? What do you mean micro-fried? How do you know? Joyful to be here. I mean, they said that their bodies, like, were, like, mummified or something. I don't know how that's possible. I don't know how that gets how does that happen? Joyful to be here. Biggest question is the issue of dual citizenship and loyalty with another certain country. Whose issue? I know that there's an issue, like, I don't have clarity on this comment, but I know that there's an issue with, first of all, Elon has citizenship in Canada, and some dumb Canadians are trying to get it revoked, which should never happen. You should not be able to have a petition of people who don't like somebody to have their citizenship revoked. That's stupid. That doesn't even sound legal. So then there's this other guy who is running for prime minister who hasn't even lived in our country, which is against the Constitution. And there's a few people who are trying to get his citizenship revoked so he can't become prime minister. He shouldn't be able to become prime minister, period, because he hasn't lived here. So how is that legal? Like, he's more of a threat than Elon is. Like, to get Elon's citizenship revoked is just pointless and stupid and petty. Just because you don't like him, he's not a threat to you. Like, I know you don't like him and you think he's a threat, but he isn't a threat. This guy who's trying to become prime minister, he is a threat. And I don't remember his name, but he's awful. Uh so yeah, I don't know what dual citizenship you're talking about specifically. Signs and symbols. Hello, I haven't seen you for a while. External of my internal divine. Starseed awakening, the best thing to do is work on yourself, self-cultivate. Absolutely. Like, that's really the only thing there is to do. All of this other stuff outside is really, like, it's important because we live in this world, right? But the most important thing is you. The most important thing is tending to yourself and taking care of yourself. So, I mean, what's happening on the world stage is important. So don't think that it's not, but it's not as important as taking care of yourself and what matters to you. If you're looking at the world stage and getting caught up in all of the drama in a physical 3D sense and not seeing how its purpose is about alchemy, it's about transformation, it's about how the world is changing. And this is why I'm paying attention to it, because it's exciting. It's exciting to be here when the world is going through such a massive upheaval, a massive change. That's what we came here for. And I'm really grateful that I'm awake enough to be able to be entertained by this rather than being caught up in the back and forth and the polarities, and take it seriously and think that it's real, like most people. The FBI did admit they killed Martin Luther King years after naming the KKK and calling it a conspiracy. If anyone said they did, no one cared when the FBI said they did it. Yeah, but they didn't. Martin Luther King was never killed. So it's like, I don't care what they say about JFK. I don't care what they say about any of this stuff. It's not going to be the true story. The true story is it's all a play. The true story is that it was all a film for your entertainment to make you believe this story. So they're never going to tell you that. Cult of the Black Cube, if I read his tweets correctly. Brickfinger, you're new. Hello. I don't know. I don't know why you would say that, but if you have some evidence, I'd like to see it. Because I doubt that, but I'd like to see it if you have some. Because I've been following his tweets and I don't see that. I mean, it's interesting too, like going back to the whole Ukraine thing, about how people are now looking at the Trump administration as being pro-Russian just as a result of that discussion, which is absurd. Just because they have a falling out with Ukrainian president, because the Ukrainian president is an idiot, to put it lightly, um, doesn't mean that that implies anything to do with Russia. It really doesn't. So, so yeah, yeah, like a lot of people make connections where there are none, and they draw conclusions just because they want it to fit their narrative. This is what's happening on the left. The left just draw conclusions because they want that to fit their narrative. They just pull information to support what they already believe, and they filter out everything else. They ignore everything else. They won't even look at anything else. That's just cognitive bias. Um, some have been awake for a long time. Oh, for sure. And, define awake. Like some have been partially awake, some have been fully awake. Like there's levels to awake, but, um, some have been aware that all is not what it seems for a very long time, for sure. I mean, throughout the course of history, people have been aware. Coco, in the Excalibur movie, it was revealed that King Arthur was the Holy Grail and the land Camelot itself. His internal health reflected how the world was. I haven't seen that movie. Bubble, you're new. Hello, welcome. Israel or not real? Is that the question? Brickfinger, I have evidence, but not airtight. Just send it to me. I'd like to see it. I want to know what you're talking about. If it's not airtight, it could be just suggestive, but she's right. It's a play. IG, Instagram. Yes, I'm on Instagram. At True Love Canada. Signs and symbols. Wait till they want you to act and not be a member in the play. I'm not sure what you mean by that. It's all theater. He tweeted a symbol. That symbol was for the cult of the black cube. That could just be coincidence. Like I say, like I'd have to see it to understand what's going on, because I do think that Elon and Trump know who they are. The people who are incredibly powerful and in your face, I believe they know who they are. Like the way that Trump is behaving, he's behaving through God power, and so is Elon. So I believe they know who they are. And there's few people who project this God power, and that doesn't mean to say that they are not going to play their part. Like they know they're here to play their part. And you don't break character, right? You're playing a part. So you you don't tell people, "Oh, hey, this is a play and I'm just playing a part, but let's just pretend that this is real," because maybe at home they'll acknowledge it, but they know they're here to play a part and they're playing it. They came here for a purpose. Uh you're South African. Okay. Eric Kuntz, you're new. Hello, welcome. The Trump Zelenskyy deal was a show. Totally. See, yeah. I'm not sure if you were here earlier, but in the beginning of this video, I was talking about how it's a performance, it's a show, and a lot of the normies are noticing that too, which is great. But again, there's a realism to it, like everything. There's that paradox, right? Signs and symbols, 88 Lions Gate, go to the monolith. They want you to act. Okay, I still don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean by they want you to act? Joyful to be here. Even America First leaders put Israel ahead. I don't know what that's all about, but like the whole Israel Palestine thing, and again, same sort of thing with Russia and Ukraine. They flip it to make the enemy look like the victim and the people we're supposed to support, and they've made the other person, the opposition, look like the bully and perpetrator and the evil guy. They're making out like Russia is the evil guy. I'm starting to suspect that he's not, just by how they paint him. Like people that they have told us are evil, probably not evil. I'm not saying everybody like broadly, but the way they protest too much is an indicator of brainwashing and mind control, especially if you look at the stuff that they've put out about Ukraine and how they've told us to support Ukraine, and it's all a big money laundering scheme. I mean, this makes me suspicious as to what the whole purpose of the actual war is and what is Russia's role in it. What's going on over there? Why is this happening? Why is Russia participating in it? What do they get out of it? Something's going on there that we're not talking about. Just because it's a big money laundering scheme through Ukraine, Russia's participating in it. What are they getting out of it? Like you wouldn't like waste your resources and everything on a country in a war, and if we're pretending this is real for now, and waste people and their lives to go to war with a country for years and not get anything out of it. I don't even understand why Russia wants Ukraine. They're a tiny little country. It just seems like and I mean, to me, every war is an ego battle. Brickfinger, I thought the black cube represented the cube we are in. We are the cube, six walls. Yeah, I agree. That's why Saturn, Cronus, death, Yahweh, God, harvest, time is a literal time cube. I agree, Coco. See, the thing is that you got to understand the symbolism and everything's not evil, and it's just symbolism. It's the people who are afraid and ignorant, who don't know what the symbolism means, that make it evil because they're afraid of it. They see something that looks scary, and it's presented to them in such a way to make it look scary so that you stay away from it, because you need to want the truth to find it. So you have to get past that fear barrier in order to find out what it actually represents and what it actually means. And all the cube means is cubed consciousness. It's base consciousness. It's the 666. It's the lower consciousness of the 3D physical world that we're in, time and space. That is it. That's all it represents. So there isn't anything else. It's like, if people choose to worship the cube consciousness, the square, the black cube, so be it. Whatever. Who cares? You're literally worshiping time. You're literally worshiping the clock we live on. But I can understand, and now this is going to get controversial for anybody who's still in the conspiracy territory and doesn't understand the meaning of these symbols. I can understand why they would, because it's Yahweh, the God of the Bible, and the whole point is that it is time, worshiping the 3D. It's appreciating and acknowledging the 3D world we live in. Now you can twist it and warp it into whatever you want and make it evil if you like. Same with the Baphomet, same with all of the other symbols. You can warp it. And I understand, because I was there at one point too. I was there afraid of all the symbols and stuff for a moment, until I actually looked into it and started to think, hang on, well, why is that evil? That doesn't make sense. It's just a circle. You can't tell me a circle is evil. It doesn't make sense. So you start to look into it and you will understand what it actually represents, and you will lose the fear. So regardless of whether he like worships a cube or whatnot, that would be why. And I don't think he does. I think he might be putting it out there just because it's relevant or whatever. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't seen the post. Can we make it was Israel? Well, Israel is just a physical representation of the unification of the Trinity. So it's literally the heart of everything. Everything goes back to Israel at this moment. So if you look at, I did a video some time ago into the Epstein connections, and the whole Epstein story is bullshit. Like, if you believe a math teacher became this like high profile pimp, you're it's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. There's more holes in the Epstein story than you can imagine. But Epstein is connected, like all of these people that were connected to Epstein are all connected to Israeli intelligence. And all of the main players, Elon and Peter Thiel and all of those people, they're all connected to Israeli intelligence. All of the major, like Amazon, PayPal, um, AI, all of the major, like major technology players and the major industrial players, they're all connected to Israeli intelligence. And it is all going to um, this surveillance system so that we can have everything run off blockchain. So that's what Epstein is actually connected to. Elion, he wore a Baphomet suit. I haven't seen him wear the Baphomet suit, so I have to take your word for it. Bubble, could be that they distract and satisfy our attention while we are unconscious to prevent us creating real wars. Bubble, they distract and satisfy our attention while we are unconscious to prevent us creating real wars. Maybe. I just don't think that, okay, here's how I view the whole war thing, right? I've even spoken to some like legit soldiers about this to get their perspective because I don't want to jump to conclusions. I want to know what they experienced. Like, my grandfather went to war, my uncle went to war, my great grandfather went to war, my great uncle went to war. So like, I've lost people in wars. However, from what I understand, my uncle, or great uncle rather, he died in the war doing an exercise with a plane. He wasn't even in battle. And that's highly possible that a lot of people die in practice runs, right? Because it's, you're flying a plane. You're not a licensed pilot. You're not experienced. You're learning. And that's a legitimate danger that you could crash your plane. So now the whole thing, like, we're living in this pyramid structure, right? It's a constructed power structure of the elite people who control everything. And this is a deliberate structure because it has to be this way, because those people hold all the knowledge and those people are trying to wake us up. And the control structure is necessary, as I was talking about earlier. The control structure is necessary because we handed over our power to the 3D. So the 3D is controlling us because we manifested it, but also because we're in this system that is structured this way on purpose, because we came here to experience being human. So in being human, we had to understand that the physical is real, or believe that in the reality of the physical. And so if we don't have autonomy and we don't have control over our own lives and we are subject to this pyramid structure, we need people to rule over us. So it's handing power over to the physical. So the elite who have the power, they have the money, they have the control, they orchestrate these wars to create this backdrop of the 911 trauma center. It's part of the drama of this place. Like, how many Shakespearean plays feature wars? It's this battle between the opposites, right? There's always some sort of battle between left and right, and the police, the antagonism, the fighting. There's got to be this violence to wake you up to understand this isn't what reality should be. And yet we're steeped in it, so we think it's normal. We think that this pain and suffering and violence and antagonism and war and the battle and everything, we think this is normal. So we accept it as normal, but it's not normal. It's ridiculously abnormal. And so we need that as a backdrop, because I don't think that our inherent qualities as beings would actually go to war. I don't think that's something that we would even conceive of. I think that it's in place to show us an extreme situation on such a grand scale, to keep us in fear, to keep us, because the fear is what keeps us in the 3D, right? The belief in the external and the domination of an external source, an external government, an external power. So the war, the threat of war, or they keep having some kind of threat of war. Even if we're not at war, there's a threat of war, there's a threat of atomic war, there's always a threat, there's a cold war, there's always some kind of war. Because even if there is no war, there's a threat of war which keeps you in fear. So if you're perpetually in fear, it keeps your nervous system in a state of fear, and it prevents you from rising. So, that's part of the infrastructure. It's a necessary part of the infrastructure. And you're the one who has to recognize and overcome that in recognizing that it's fake. So that's how I view it anyway. Where are we? Oh my goodness. Okay. Brick finger. If we know their name, they are a puppet. Well, it's not that simple. I mean, define puppet, because I don't believe that they're all puppets. I think there are some who are puppets, and then there are others who are not. So they're like Elon and Trump are not puppets. They are autonomous. They know who they are, and they're here to make change. And then there's someone like Trudeau. Trudeau's a puppet. He doesn't know who he is. So he's manipulated, controlled, bought, corrupt. Biden's a puppet. So we need the contrast. You need the contrast between the puppets and the autonomous beings. The reason we need the contrast is so that you can recognize the difference and understand who you are and who you really are. Also, Israel is really reality? Well, yeah, because Israel is the Trinity: Isis, Ra, and El. It's the masculine, feminine, and love. Joyful to be here. Seems Khazarian mafia is in the center of all major world dramas. Oh boy, that's a can of worms. I haven't talked about the Khazarians in a long time, and nobody likes them. So, what does that say? Like, yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, there has to be, in any good drama, any good movie, there's always an enemy, right? There's always an antagonist. And so there has to be an antagonist, because the antagonist is what causes you to grow. You wouldn't grow without any antagonism, which is why we're here in the first place. The 911 Trauma Center is designed to be that way. Jim Henson did a short film about being stuck in the time cube. It was good. He also made Labyrinth and Dark Crystal. Yeah, he knows some stuff. Starseed Awakening. Still, what can we do except ponder the bigger agenda? Not to mention paranormal phenomena, secret files, and tech. All this may simply be over alien tech and financial prosperity for all. Well, I'm not really sure what you're asking, but what can we do except focus on the agenda, focus on yourself. They are all in the same team, running narratives to execute their objective. The fear response is intense. Chronos, transgenderism is hard to swallow personally. I have barriers. Great info, by the way. Thank you. Yeah, yeah, like they are on the same team, and we're all on the same team, right? It's like there it is depends on how you look at it. If you're in the dualistic mindset and you're seeing things through the eyes of duality, which most people do, you see the us versus them, right? So once you get past the duality, you understand that not only are they on the same side, but they are on our side. So understanding that is much more of a hurdle for a lot of people, because most people want to have an enemy outside of them so they can point the blame out there. They don't have to take responsibility for their own lives that way. Well, I can't do this because of the system. I can't do the world is, and these people are oppressing me, and like, there's always a reason why you can't do something in your life, as long as you have an enemy outside of yourself. Again, it's part of the control structure that we live in. Your job is to overcome that. Your job is to get past that, to see that it is all on your side. It is all you. There is no us versus them. So if you're still at that place, I have plenty of videos about overcoming this duality, overcoming the duality play, the duality battle, overcoming the evil, the idea of good versus bad, and transmuting the bad. So if you're in that place, I recommend those videos. If you're not there yet, that's okay. If you're not ready, because I understand it's difficult, it's traumatic, because if you're just new to understanding some of the truth and you're in a position where you're looking at all of this stuff and you're thinking, wow, we live in a really evil world, it's going to take you a while to get comfortable with the idea that they're on your side and trying to wake you up. So go at your own pace, but the videos are there when you need them. So just keep that in mind for when you're ready. And I wouldn't force it on yourself, because you have to be ready. You have to be ready to see it. You have to be ready to accept it. And you can't rush this stuff, because it's all of it's upsetting, right? In the beginning, it's all upsetting. When you get to a certain point, it's fun. So, um, depending on where you are, if you are at that stage and it's still dark and depressing and scary and fearful, and you're still looking outside of yourself at pointing at the evil and such, it gets better, because you get past all of that and you understand the true nature of reality, and you're not affected by any of that anymore, because you understand it's all serving you. It's all love. And yeah, I can understand that that sounds scary from your perspective if you're there. Um Zeus, Jesus, son, da 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 da. That's how the ancient story goes. Yep. They want an AI god in Israel. I haven't heard that, but AI is not as scary as they make it out to be. It's not even as advanced as they make it out to be. It's also why Athena is born from Zeus's head and Venus is born from the opposite end. Like, that's also zodiac. All stories are the same story, just different perspectives. For many of us here, we feel the show we are watching has already jumped the shark. Sleepers keep watching like it's all still cool. Joyful to be here. Yeah, like, I feel like the show is at a place where uh I'd like to know what you mean by jump the shark, because I feel the show is at a place where um we're ready to see a mass awakening of um, more people. Like, there's already a huge wave of people from COVID who have woken up to that nonsense. And the people who are, those people are largely still in conspiracy territory. Those people are going to start waking up to the fact that they've been lied to again, so to speak, or they fell for another lie. And so then they're going to start to move forward and progress on a higher level. And some of those people will be left behind. At every stage, there's going to be people left behind. Not everyone is going to progress up the ladder. So yeah, I'd like to know what you mean by jump the shark, though. Prometheus stole the fire from Zeus and gave it to man. It's all symbolic. Yeah, absolutely. War equals eugenics, in my opinion, plus money. Yeah, I don't see it that way. I don't think um I mean, I don't war is a story. It's a story to keep us in fear. I mean, it's many things. There's a lot of ways to look at it. But, from a higher context, it's a story to keep you in fear, to provide a background and a backdrop for this trauma center we live in. I also don't believe that they kill as many people as they say that they do in wars. Like, I'm not saying that there aren't any, you know, that there aren't bad things that happen and there aren't any wars or anything, but like the big ones are not what they tell us they are. I'll just say this to explain what I mean. Atlas holds up the world, and his name is the name of the top part of the spine that holds up your skull. Atlas holding up the world. Adam ate the apple. Um, okay, it's kind of on a tangent, but yes. Joyful to be here. Those sleepers might just be NPCs. Perhaps you still haven't got your memory back. Um, Great insights were all the same. Oh, cool. I'm glad you think that. That's awesome. Thank you. Starseed Awakening. Yeah, sometimes also look at how those around you may be keeping you asleep, discouraging your awakening. Demonic energies are invested in your sleepwalking. True. What caused your awakening, please? Oh my goodness, it's a whole long story. But I'll keep it short. But yeah, okay, so like you can call it demonic energies, but it's just dark energy. It's just, like we got dark energy, light energy. Dark energy isn't really anything to be afraid of. It's just a contrasting energy to the light energy. That's it. We need it for balance. Everything needs balance. So when you experience a contrast to what you're trying to accomplish, that's just like your fear projected outward. So you for you to deal with your fear so you can overcome it. So if you have even something as simple as wanting to accomplish a goal, right? We were talking earlier about wanting to lose weight. And I say that because it's a very common thing for most people. Whether you want to lose weight for a special occasion or like you really need to because of your health, doesn't matter. Most people have been through this. So you get to make a decision about wanting to lose weight. And you you tell all your friends, hey, I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to get in the best shape of my life. I'm really excited about this. I started joining a running club. I changed my diet. You're pumped to share it with your loved ones because you think they're going to support you. And maybe they do. Maybe some of them do. But maybe some of them have doubt. Maybe some of them will say things like, well, you know what you're like. Are you sure? Are you sure you're going to be able to do this? It's like it's dangerous to sign up for a marathon, like I've heard people dying of heart attacks during marathons and you've never run before. Like that's a lot. It's a huge commitment. And do you really have time? So like is bringing up all these fears and worries. And if you're certain in your decision, those won't phase you. Those just your fear projected outward and coming back to you in the form of whoever happens to be there. And so, depending on what it is, like you can view that as demonic if you want. You can view that as antagonistic, but that's all it is that it's the negative energy that you're rejecting while you're trying to pursue something positive for yourself. You're disowning that part of you. So it has to go somewhere. So it comes back to you in the form of this person telling you this stuff. You either accept it or you reject it. You say, well, that's not me anymore. So I'm not even accepting what you're offering, but I appreciate your concern. Or you can second guess yourself and say, yeah, you're right. I have done those things. It is pretty scary. Maybe you're right. Maybe I shouldn't do it. So your fear that you've rejected hasn't actually been rejected. You haven't made a proper decision, right? So you still have the power to accept or reject what's being offered to you. Same with what people call demonic energies, right? If you are in the fear camp and you're dealing with like conspiracy theories and stuff, there's a lot of fear in that. There's a lot of us versus them. There's a lot of, you're looking at all the evil and the satanic stuff, and you have to look at it. So don't get me wrong. You have to face all the darkness. But, and I think a lot of times like we go through this phase, we go through the scary phase of believing in this evil or this evil opposition. And it can even manifest in the form of scary stuff, right? It can manifest in the form of, let's see, what we call targeted individuals. You can become a targeted individual, but it is your own creation, and you can really get sucked into it, and it can make you go insane. If you don't check yourself, being a targeted individual and believing that it's real can make you go insane. So you have to be very careful of what you allow your mind to run off with. And when you're dealing with being a targeted individual and you see things happening outside of you, it is your projection. You're projecting that fear within you outside of yourself into something real that you experience in the 3D. That's how powerful you are. So if you can manifest that, if you can get that under control, you get your mind under control, you get your energy under control, your central nervous system under control, just imagine what you can create that you want. Because obviously, you don't want to be a targeted individual. You don't want to manifest all of this demonic stuff, right? So essentially, that stuff that you see outside of yourself that you label as demonic or whatnot, you're giving power to it. You're allowing it to be in your experience. Once you get past that stuff, it won't be there anymore. So you asked about my awakening. Um, like everybody, my awakening happened in phases, and I've told this story before, but I don't know if it's still up or not because I've had to remove several videos in the course of the 7 years I've been online. But um, years ago, when I was a kid, I thought there was something weird about this place and kind of asked questions like, is all this here for me? And didn't really understand it. So I was thinking through it and philosophizing through it. And I was like, well, that doesn't make sense because there's other people here and this sort of thing. So I set that aside. And then when I was in England, I was in my early 20s, getting off a train, commuting, and I was dressed differently from everybody else. Everyone else was wearing khakis and a blue shirt. I couldn't